So here's how you know your marriage is dead. When your house tells you. It was 2:44 a.m. on a Thursday, and I was 900 miles away at a cybersecurity summit in San Antonio, giving a talk about zero-trust network architecture to a room full of nerds who think social interaction is a DDoS attack. Thrilling stuff. The room was air-conditioned to meet locker levels, and I was in the middle of a late-night binge of forensic Wireshark logs when I got the ping. Motion detected, living room. Timestamped. Geotagged. Tagged as human-sized movement. Warm body. Not registered user. Now, in a normal house, that'd be a raccoon or the Roomba going rogue. In mine, it meant someone tripped a thermal sensor and didn't match the facial recognition whitelist. And I'm the guy who set the whitelist. I stared at the notification like it had insulted my IQ. There should have been no one there. My wife, Megan, had told me she'd be at her sister's for the night, helping with their newborn twins. Sweet, selfless Megan. Always doing the right thing. Always showing up for others. Turns out, she just stopped showing up for me. I opened the feed. At first, it was just shadows, until two shapes wandered into frame like badly cast soap opera extras. She was laughing. He was holding a pizza box like he'd earned it. She wore my hoodie. He wore my nerves thin. Now, look, I'm not new to suspicion. I've watched too many colleagues fry their marriages over misplaced trust. That's why I built our house to be smarter than both of us. It didn't just know when lights turned on. It knew if you were lying. But this was different. This wasn't paranoia. This was a breach. A breach in protocol, sure, but also in whatever joke of a bond Megan and I still had. The guy was tall, hoodie-wearing, smug-grinning, flip-flop type. Looked like he just rolled out of a frat party circa 2009 and never quite left the vibe. Megan pulled him down onto the couch. My couch. The one I paid extra for because it was made from Italian leather and wouldn't retain smells. Ironic, really. I zoomed in. Not on them, on the pizza. Pineapple and ham. Megan hated pineapple. She used to mock it. Used to mock people who liked it. Guess her tastes evolved when I wasn't home. Anyway, I didn't confront her. Not yet. That's the difference between amateurs and professionals. Amateurs blow up. Professionals document. I spent the next 2 days harvesting network traffic from my house remotely. Every smart device, the fridge, the toothbrush, the speaker system logs its traffic. Guess what else does? Any new device that connects to the guest Wi-Fi. And oh boy, did Mr. Flip-Flop not realize the walls were watching. His phone, a Pixel 7, auto-connected to my unsecured guest network and started blasting location data to some sketchy app called ThrustMap. I kid you not. From that, I got his MAC address, his phone name, Devin's Pixel, and even his Wi-Fi browsing fingerprint. I ran a passive scan, identified his device history, and sure enough, Devin Mathis. Cross-referenced with Megan's LinkedIn. Old college friend. Marketing major. Member of the school's improv group. Probably peaked doing yes and exercises in someone's basement. The guy was so dumb, he didn't even disable Bluetooth. The house detected him again Friday night, same time. Same hoodie. By Sunday, I built a full digital dossier. I knew what gym he checked into, spoiler. He doesn't work out, where he parked, badly, and even his favorite Spotify playlist, Deep Vibes and Chill. I started to think maybe I should send him a bill. Data like this costs real money on the dark web. Megan came home Sunday morning wearing sunglasses indoors. Classic move. Hungover, disheveled, and mumbling something about her sister being exhausted. I smiled, nodded, asked how the babies were. She said, colicky. I said, must be tough. We didn't make eye contact. She kissed me on the cheek. I wondered if Devin tasted the same cologne. Now, here's the thing about betrayal, it doesn't hurt when you see it. It hurts when they lie so badly it insults your intelligence. So I started planning. Not for confrontation. For exhibition. You see, Megan's birthday was in 2 weeks. She'd been hinting for a party. Something low-key, but elegant. So I told her I'd handle it. Book the catering. Send out invites. Design the invites myself, using an AI-generated picture of her smiling under golden fairy lights. So poetic. I invited her parents, her coworkers, even her boss, the one she always gushed about but secretly despised. Told them it was a thank you dinner for supporting her during a tough year. She bought a dress. I watched the order come in via the Amazon Prime delivery alert. And then, the night before the party, I rewired the home automation system. Every smart bulb was reprogrammed. Every camera routed to a central server. The 85-inch OLED TV in the living room? That would be the stage. I also renamed our guest Wi-Fi. It used to be Pretty Fly for a Wi-Fi. Now it read Surprise. I know. No one noticed. Not even Devin, who, spoiler again, came by the morning of the party to drop something off. Probably a final performance. Megan was glowing that night. All heels and confidence and pink champagne. She hugged everyone. Gushed about how grateful she was. Kissed me on the cheek again, like that meant anything anymore. And when it hit 8:30 p.m., I asked everyone to gather for a short video. I clicked the remote, and the house obeyed. There's a sound a room makes when it starts figuring out it's been tricked. It's not gasps or murmurs. It's silence, pure and sharp, like a blade. That's what I heard when I pressed the remote and the screen came alive. No cheesy intro. No music. Just video. Devin, mid-laugh, his arm slung over Megan's shoulder like they'd just come home from prom. Megan in her lazy Sunday robe, which she always said was too private for guests to see her in. Well, now 25 of them were watching her model it in high definition. The audio kicked in next. Not words, not at first, just the sound of her voice humming off-key as she poured 2 glasses of wine. That was the moment her boss coughed. Not a real cough, one of those awkward, panicked things people do when they think they're in a hostage video. Megan turned her head. I swear her whole soul lagged 2 seconds behind her eyes. She looked at me, then at the TV, then at the guests. And that's when the real show started. Her mom, bless her denial-filled heart, whispered, "Is this some kind of joke?" To which I replied loudly enough for the people near the shrimp platter to hear, "Oh no, Marilyn. This is the after-party to the affair I didn't know I was co-hosting." She made it sound like she was trying to swallow a cough drop and a sob at the same time. Megan's dad? He walked out. No big speech. No righteous indignation. Just quietly set his wine down, turned, and left. Like he suddenly remembered he left the oven on 3 states away. Meanwhile, the screen kept playing. I'd edited it with the precision of a heart surgeon and the cruelty of a disappointed IT consultant. Just short, tight clips, nothing explicit, of course, but enough to tell the full story. There was a time-stamped clip of Megan leaning over Devin, laughing at something off-screen. Then a jump to a different night, Devin, shirtless, in my kitchen, eating cereal. My cereal. That was the part that really ticked me off. The guy had the nerve to go for the premium granola. Organic. Imported. $8.99 a box. People started backing away from the screen like it was radioactive. One of Megan's coworkers, some intern she was mentoring, just stood there, frozen, wine glass halfway to her lips. And Megan? She finally spoke. "Ethan," she said, in this breathy, performative tone like we were in a movie where she's the wronged heroine. "What are you doing?" That question broke something in me. Not because of what she said, but how she said it. Not, "I can explain." Not, "I'm sorry." Just confusion. Offended confusion. Like I'd ruined her birthday. "What am I doing?" I echoed, turning to face her fully. "Just running some footage from our security system. I figured everyone should see what you've been up to when you said you were swaddling twins." Devin wasn't there. Coward must have skipped out the back when he saw the balloons. But he was on screen now, fumbling with his belt, tripping over the coffee table I built with my own 2 hands. Someone laughed. Not a full laugh. More of a snort. I don't know who it was. Could have been one of Megan's bitter single friends, or maybe my cousin Darren, who has the emotional range of a baked potato. Either way, it cracked the tension. People started shuffling. Whispering. One of the neighbors ducked out muttering, "Well, this has been enlightening." The video ended on a freeze frame. Megan mid-giggle, her hair messy, her hands blurred from motion. I'd made sure to pause it right as she said, "This is our little secret." Subtitled, of course. White Helvetica on black. I turned off the screen. And then, I smiled. Not the sad, broken kind of smile. The smug, serene kind. The one that says, "Checkmate." Megan rushed toward me. "You're making a scene." "No," I said, calmly. "You made a scene. I just directed it." She reached for the remote, and I stepped back. "You think this makes you look strong?" She snapped, her eyes wild now. "You're humiliating me." "Correction," I said. "I'm revealing you." "The humiliation? That's all yours." She opened her mouth to argue, but I was already walking toward the hallway. Now here's where things got fun. Remember how I said I built the house? Well, I didn't just rewire the lights and screens. I also reprogrammed the voice assistant. As I passed the hallway motion sensor, it triggered the pre-recorded audio I'd loaded that morning. "Welcome, Devin," it said cheerfully. "You've returned." Again. Gasps. Actual gasps. Like it was dinner theater now. Megan screamed, "Turn that OFF." I called over my shoulder, "Sorry, Meg." He was here so often the house thought he lived here. It was just trying to be polite. Outside, the guests were flooding into the driveway like they'd been invited to a fire drill. No one looked me in the eye. That's the thing about public betrayal. Everyone wants the tea, but no one wants to be caught sipping it. I stood on the porch, watching them scatter. Megan burst out behind me, grabbing my arm. "You think this fixes anything?" "No," I said. "It doesn't fix anything. It exposes everything. Why didn't you just talk to me?" "Talk?" I chuckled. "You were too busy talking to Devin's Pixel. Tell me, does he name his other devices too? Is his toothbrush called a Hot Boy brush or something?" She slapped me. It didn't even sting. Not compared to what I'd felt watching her laugh in my hoodie, eating takeout on our couch with a guy who probably still uses Axe body spray. I leaned in. "You want to save face? You should have picked someone who knew how to clear their browser cache." Then I stepped back inside and closed the door. And here's the kicker. I'd already changed the locks. Digitally. Biometric access revoked. Her face, her fingerprint, gone from the system. I even wiped her voice from the home assistant. Now, if she says, "Turn on the lights," it just replies, "I don't recognize that user." I walked into the kitchen, sat down, and poured myself a drink. Scotch. Neat. The good kind, the one she always said was too smoky. As I took the first sip, the screen blinked back on one last time, not by my hand, but a preset automation. It was Megan again. But this time, it wasn't a video. It was a live feed. The porch cam. She was standing there, yelling at the door, mascara streaked, her birthday tiara crooked on her head like a sad little crown of thorns. I muted it. The house had spoken. It's amazing how quiet a house gets after a public execution, metaphorically speaking. The next morning, Megan was gone. Not surprising. She must have Ubered her humiliated self to a friend's place, maybe the same one who said she deserved someone spontaneous. Devin probably offered to let her crash at his place, assuming he wasn't too busy Googling how to delete smart home data from your girlfriend's husband's server. The silence was nice. Pure. Even. Like pressing reset on a glitchy app. I made coffee black, no sugar, the way Megan hated it. Sat at the kitchen island with my laptop and started browsing listings. Not for apartments, for lawyers. Quiet, efficient, expensive ones. The kind who don't blink when you say words like digital evidence and home surveillance. By noon, I had 3 consultations booked. By 3 p.m., the call started. First one was her mother. Marilyn. Shaky voice. Said Megan hadn't come home and was devastated. I told her that was the expected outcome of being caught live on screen committing romantic fraud in a suburban cage match. She didn't laugh. Boomers never appreciate sarcasm. Then came the texts. From Megan. Predictably pathetic. "Can we talk? You really hurt me last night. What you did wasn't fair." It was supposed to be a surprise party. Ah yes, the old "revenge isn't fair" argument. As if betrayal was some kind of sporting event and I'd committed a foul. I didn't respond. Instead, I opened my surveillance logs. Full archive. Every timestamp. Every room. Every whispered, "I should probably go," followed by "just 5 more minutes." See, I had no intention of letting this die quietly. That would be merciful. And Megan had forfeited mercy the second she brought her Tinder side quest into my home, my sanctuary, and treated it like some kind of Airbnb for adultery. I dug deeper. Started scanning audio logs using keyword detection. Pulled every mention of Devin, babe, delete, cover, and, hilariously, I'll never know. Cross-referenced with dates. Built a timeline that would make an FBI analyst blush. She'd started seeing Devin 3 months earlier. At first, just lunch meetups. Then came the sleepovers. He'd used my towels. My towels. You ever dry off with a towel you bought at a high-end linen store and then realize it's been on someone else's back? Yeah. Ruins the thread count. But I wasn't done. Oh no. This wasn't about divorce anymore. This was about erasure. I started by scrubbing her from the home system. Her Netflix profile? Gone. Her Spotify access? Revoked. The thermostat wouldn't recognize her preferred temperature anymore. Megan's climate zone deleted. Her parking code? Disabled. Garage opener rekeyed. All voice assistants reprogrammed to respond to only me. The house, my house, became a Megan-free zone. A digital exorcism. I even had some fun with it. Set the living room lights to dim whenever someone said, "liar." Programmed the smart speaker to respond to infidelity with a cheerful, "please clarify which ex you're referring to." And then, as a final touch, I uploaded a backup of all video and audio evidence to 3 cloud drives under encrypted folders, just in case she got clever. At 5 p.m., my phone buzzed again. This time, it was Devin. Now that was unexpected. The message was short. Sloppy grammar. Zero punctuation. Yo man, we need to talk, this is all messed up. I laughed so hard I nearly dropped my glass. Messed up? I'd argue walking barefoot into someone else's marriage is a bit messier than being featured on a surprise screening. I didn't answer, but I did have an idea. I opened Canva, started designing an invitation. A new kind of party. One that didn't require balloons or cake, just a little social engineering. It was titled, The Real Story, How I Rebooted My Marriage. Date, Friday. Location, Zoom. Private link. Target audience, every mutual friend, coworker, and extended family member Megan hadn't already spun her sob story to. The format? A digital healing session where I'd process the trauma of emotional deceit using data and truth. Buzzwords sell. Trauma, truth, healing, people eat that up. Within 24 hours, the RSVP list was full. Meanwhile, Megan was spiraling. First came the flowers, literally. A delivery showed up on Wednesday morning. White lilies. Her favorite. No note. I checked the app, she'd used her old Amazon login. Amateur mistake. I placed the vase right in front of the security cam. Recorded myself picking up the bouquet, walking to the compost bin, and dumping it. Sent her a copy of the clip. Caption, Alexa, compost betrayal. No response. Next day, she tried again. This time with guilt. I just want to explain. Explain what? That I'd apparently been invisible for 3 months while she played house with some sentient pair of cargo shorts? The Zoom call arrived like a storm front. Friday night, 8 p.m. sharp. I logged in. Camera on. Background neat. Just enough plants to look human. Just enough lighting to look like I'd already healed. Which I hadn't. Not really. But perception is power. One by one, the squares appeared. Old coworkers. Mutual friends. Even one of Megan's cousins, sipping wine like this was Netflix. I didn't play the full video. That would have been cruel. Instead, I narrated. I showed timestamps. I outlined the deception like a TED Talk. No yelling. No accusations. Just the data. This, I said, pointing to a paused frame, is the moment I realized my marriage was an illusion. Note the timestamp 2:44 a.m. when she was supposedly bottle feeding her niece. Some people looked uncomfortable. Good. They should be. I ended with a simple quote. Something Megan once said when we first moved in. The truth always finds a way. Then I closed the call. No fanfare. No Q&A. Let them draw their own conclusions. Saturday morning, I opened my email. One message. Subject. You made your point. From Megan. I didn't open it. Instead, I started packing her things. Every pair of shoes. Every coffee mug. Every picture frame where her smile now looked like a glitch in the Matrix. By noon, it was all boxed. I labeled them by keyword. Casual lies. Formal regrets. Miscellaneous manipulations. Then I hired a courier. Paid extra to have it delivered to her sister's place with signature confirmation. The guy raised an eyebrow when he saw the labels. I told him it was performance art. The truth is, I wasn't angry anymore. I was rebooting. And this time, I'd be setting the passwords. The courier said she didn't speak. Not a word when he handed over the boxes. Just stood in the doorway in an oversized hoodie that clearly wasn't mine, signed with a marker that shook in her grip, and shut the door without a single syllable. Honestly, it was the most graceful thing she'd done in weeks. Good. Silence is a start. Meanwhile, the internet had other plans. See, I hadn't intended for the Zoom recording to leak. Not at first. But someone, my money's on Kyle from accounting, he always had a flair for dramatic exits, clipped the presentation and uploaded it to a Reddit thread titled, Husband Catches Cheating Wife with Smart Home Tech Watch the Ice Cold Breakdown. It had 42,000 upvotes by midnight. By the next morning, it was on YouTube. Subtitled. Commentated. Reactions layered in like it was a live boxing match. People loved the freeze-frame moments. The part where the doorcam greeted Devin like a welcome guest? That was meme-worthy gold. Someone even remixed it into a lo-fi beat titled, Welcome, Devin. And me? I watched it happen with the same detachment one has when observing a thunderstorm from a sealed penthouse window. The DMs started to pour in. From strangers. From exes. From journalists. A reporter from some viral drama channel wanted to do a feature. I declined. Not out of modesty, but because that wasn't my angle. Fame was fleeting. What I wanted was far more permanent. See, Megan hadn't just cheated on me. She'd rewritten me in our social circles. I started going through old texts, and the pattern was there. Little digs. Subtle reframes. Ethan's always busy, she'd say. He forgets the little things. We're in a rut. No mention of Devin. No mention of the man-shaped malware she'd installed in our marriage without even the decency of a patch note. She hadn't just betrayed me. She'd prepped the audience. So when the show fell apart, they'd think the set was already crumbling. But now? Now the narrative was mine again. I used my lunch break to update my LinkedIn. New banner, Truth Engineer. New headline, I automate honesty. Cheeky? Sure. But the engagement was through the roof. Clients called to say they loved the initiative. One offered me a consulting gig specifically to audit digital trust and high-value relationships. I almost laughed. On Tuesday, I got a call from an unknown number. I picked up, just to hear the breathing. Predictably, it was Megan. She spoke first. You ruined my life. I leaned back in my chair. No, Meg. I just showed everyone the save file. I lost my job, she snapped. My boss said I made the company look unstable. That one actually surprised me. I figured they'd give her a leave of absence, a few HR-approved tissues, maybe some work-from-home pity. But nope, apparently the birthday party video had reached their boardroom, and branding mattered more than infidelity optics. I didn't send it to them, I said truthfully. But you're welcome for the unintended honesty campaign. Silence. Then, her voice dropped to that quiet, pitiful register. I didn't mean for it to go that far. Oh, classic. The oops, I tripped and fell onto Devin for 3 months straight defense. I sighed. Look, Megan, this isn't about your job, or Devin, or the public humiliation. This is about entropy. You introduced chaos to a closed system. I just let it balance out. She hung up. Smart. For once. Now, here's where things took a turn. See, I'd thought the house clean out, the Zoom session, and the digital erasure were enough. But the thing about betrayal is, it has roots. Deep ones. It doesn't just rot the fruit, it poisons the soil. I started noticing weird anomalies. Emails from subscriptions I never signed up for. A few snooping attempts on my cloud drives. An alert from my Nest account about an attempted login from a new device named Pixel Backup. Megan, or Devin, was trying to dig. Probably looking for the raw footage. Maybe trying to get ahead of the leak. Maybe trying to nuke it. So I did what I do best. I escalated. I created a clone directory. Identical structure. Fake files. Every folder labeled with clickbait. Affair underscore proof. Deleted underscore evidence. Private underscore videos. Inside? Just looping videos of static. Or worse, her own voicemail messages, subtly distorted. I encrypted the folder with a fake passcode prompt that logged every attempt and tracked IPs. 2 days later, I had Devin's home address. His actual one. Not hard when your dumb little revenge hacker doesn't even use a VPN. But I didn't confront him. That would have been basic. Instead, I did something better. Remember that footage of him eating cereal shirtless in my kitchen? I printed it. Framed it. Ordered 50 glossy 8x10s. Then I created a fake event listing. Adult modeling portfolio. Modern masculinity in suburbia. Featuring Devin. Of course, I anonymized everything except his face. I mailed one to his apartment complex's leasing office. Just one. No note. Just the print. A few days later, he was evicted. Turns out the lease had some clause about unauthorized commercial use of the property, and I'd implied it was a photo shoot. Megan called again. This time, drunk. I could tell by the slurred R's. You're obsessed, she mumbled. Obsession implies I care, I replied. I'm documenting. There's a difference. She tried guilt next. Said she was scared. That people were talking. That she couldn't go to the grocery store without someone whispering. I offered to send her a GoPro so she could relive the whispers in high definition. She hung up again. 2 weeks passed. I started sleeping better. Eating better. I put the gym membership she forgot we had to actual use. Even bought new clothes, ones that didn't remind me of joint anniversary shopping trips where she pretended to like flannel just to look supportive. Then, one morning, I got an email from an old college friend. Subject line, dude, you are a legend. Inside was a link to a podcast. Apparently, some relationship guru had featured the story. Played clips. Called it a masterclass in dignified detachment. Said I was the anti-meltdown archetype. I didn't feel proud. I felt done. Almost. There was one last piece. Our wedding video. Still backed up. Still untouched. It had never been streamed. Never digitized beyond storage. Just a quiet file named M+E forever. I opened it one final time. Watched us smile. Dense. Promise. Then, I dragged it to the trash. Clicked. Empty. And when the prompt asked me, "Are you sure?" I clicked yes without blinking. Because the truth is, I'd already rewritten the story. And in this version, I wasn't the betrayed husband. I was the editor. They say closure is a myth. That you never really get it. You just get used to the whole. I disagree. Closure isn't some poetic revelation. It's a to-do list. You check the boxes. You clean the mess. You delete the backups. You send the invoice to the people who broke it. I was almost there. After the wedding video got wiped, and I mean permanently, down to the hex level, I realized something strange. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't sad, either. Megan didn't feel like a person to me at this point. She felt like an outdated app I'd uninstalled. Left some memory behind, sure, but nothing worth running again. But then came the knock. A real one. Not a notification. Not a call. Not a message ping from someone trying to sell me VPNs because of a podcast. A literal knock on my actual door. I opened it. Megan. She looked old. Not physically. Emotionally. Like someone who'd spent a week walking through a funhouse made entirely of their own bad decisions. Her hair was flat, her skin uneven, and she was holding her phone like it was a crucifix warding off vampires. "Can I talk to you?" she asked. I didn't answer. Just stepped aside. She walked in slowly. Looked around like she expected to be ambushed by more cameras or a pop-up hologram of her greatest hits. "You cleaned up," she said. "Didn't want the house smelling like betrayal and expired cologne," I replied. She flinched. "Good." We sat. She started, then stopped. I didn't expect everything to fall apart. There it was. Not, "I'm sorry." Not, "I was wrong." Just shocked that her life didn't let her reboot on demand. She kept going, words falling out like she was trying to outrun herself. "I lost my job. My apartment. Devin's living with his sister now because his credit tanked after the eviction. My parents are..." "Embarrassed?" I offered. "Angry," she corrected. "They think I need help." "You do," I said. "But I'm not the one who can give it to you anymore." She stared at the floor, like it had the answers. "I didn't mean for it to be him," she said finally. "Devin. It just happened." I almost laughed. The classic line. The laziest defense in the history of human failure. As if someone tripped over infidelity and landed crotch first into compromise. "You know what I remember?" I said, leaning forward. "I remember you telling me you hated pineapple pizza. That it was chaos on dough. You mocked it for years." She blinked, confused. "And yet, there you were. Eating it. Smiling. With him. That's what you're mad about?" I shook my head. "No, Megan. I'm mad that I spent years building a life with someone who could lie about something so small. Because that told me everything about what you'd lie about when it got big." She looked away. "I can't fix this," she whispered. "Nope. Do you hate me?" "No," I said. "I don't think about you enough to hate you." That broke her. Her face cracked in ways I hadn't seen even during the great birthday meltdown. She covered her mouth. Tried to pretend she wasn't crying. It was almost cinematic. Almost. "I miss us," she said. "We don't exist," I replied. "We're a discontinued product." I stood. "I'm giving you 10 minutes," I said. "To say whatever you think you need to say. Then you leave. And you never knock again." She opened her mouth. Closed it. Nodded. And walked out. I didn't feel triumphant. I didn't feel satisfied. I felt clean. The next day, I called the lawyer. Told him to finalize everything. No negotiations. No pleas. I had enough on record to burn her to the financial ground, but I didn't want that. Not anymore. I wanted peace. That meant one clean cut, not death by 1,000 subpoenas. By Friday, I was officially single. No celebration. Just a new password for my digital will and a coffee mug that said, "Trust issues make great firewalls." I started thinking about what came next. Not romantically. Personally. Professionally. The story had made me a folk hero in certain corners of the internet. But I wasn't interested in being a meme. I wanted to do something with the experience, something that made all of this useful. So I launched a site. The X-Files. Subtitle, Where Trust Gets Logged. A consulting service, part digital security, part relationship forensics. I offered tech-savvy spouses a way to verify their reality. No spying. No illegal hacking. Just clean, ethical, cold-blooded truth collection. Within 2 weeks, I had 30 clients. All of them with that same look in their eye, the one I'd had that night in the hotel room, watching my wife giggle on the couch while my thermostat set the temperature for her Tinder date. And I helped them. Not to ruin their partners. Just to see clearly. Because that's all anyone really wants when they feel something's off, confirmation that they're not crazy. I became the guy who provided receipts. Meanwhile, Megan disappeared. Deleted her socials. Probably hiding in some small town trying to reinvent herself as a life coach or a brand consultant. I didn't care. She was data I'd archived. Until one final email. Subject, regret. No message body. Just an image attachment. I hovered. Curiosity is a dangerous drug. I opened it. It was a picture of us. Taken 2 years ago. At a park. She was laughing. I was holding a coffee. We looked real. But someone had drawn a red line through her face. Just one. Clean. Sharp. The image was titled, final_draft.jpg. I stared at it. Then, slowly, I smiled. Because she finally understood. This wasn't a breakup. This was an edit. And in my version of the story, she didn't make the cut. Revenge stories usually end with a bang. A public meltdown. A courtroom scene. Maybe some social media cancellation full of hashtags and poetic irony. That's what people expect, the big, cinematic finale. Something messy enough to feel real, but just clean enough to share. But the thing is, when you really win, there's no bang. Just a quiet door clicking shut behind you as you walk out of someone's life without even looking back. That's how mine ends. Not with an explosion, with a deletion. After Megan sent that image, the final_draft.jpg with her face scratched out like some twisted resignation letter, I didn't respond. I didn't have to. That email was the closest thing to self-awareness she'd ever sent me. And ironically, it was her first act of honesty in months. So I archived it. Not for nostalgia. For record-keeping. That's the thing people forget. The world runs on records. Not feelings. Not excuses. Records. And in every possible version of the record, digital, legal, emotional, Megan lost. A few weeks later, I got a certified letter in the mail. Postmarked from a small town I didn't recognize. Return address just said, M.K. Inside was a typed note. No signature. I lost everything. Devin ghosted me after your little modeling campaign. I've been fired, blacklisted, and disowned. My parents won't answer my calls. I'm working at a bookstore now. I used to laugh at people who lived in towns like this. Now I stalk their bookmarks. I wanted you to know that I see it now. You weren't controlling. You weren't cold. You were precise. And I didn't deserve you. I don't expect a response. I just wanted the final word. There it was again. Final. She kept trying to write her own ending, as if she still had editorial rights to this story. She didn't. I burned the letter. Not metaphorically. Literally. Dropped it in the fire pit in the backyard, the one she always said made our house feel too rustic. I watched the words curl and vanish like they'd never been written. And then I moved on. Not like people say it when they mean, I cried for 8 months and finally stopped texting back. I mean, I moved on. Literally. Sold the house. Bought a loft in the city, cleaner, smaller, less haunted. Left all the furniture behind. Every piece held too much history, too many breadcrumbs of moments that had been quietly rewritten by lies. I renamed the Wi-Fi. SSID, authenticated. Password? I didn't give it out. The business, the X-Files, took off. Turns out people really want someone who can verify their gut. I started consulting with therapists, building digital templates for people to run emotional diagnostics on their relationships. Think spreadsheets, but for trust. Clean. Mathematical. No room for gaslighting. I wasn't famous. I didn't want to be. But in some corners of the internet, I became a kind of urban legend. The guy who exposed a whole affair using his fridge logs. The one who turned betrayal into a business model. People sent me messages like I was some kind of oracle. Hey man, my wife's been coming home late and her iCloud location's always off. Can you help? I did. But I wasn't cold about it. Just clear. Because once you've been on the other side, once you've watched your whole reality unravel in 4K, timestamped and HD streamed, you either lose your mind or sharpen it. I chose sharp. And here's the part no one talks about. The aftermath isn't about forgiveness. It's about design. You design the rest of your life with one core principle, no more hidden layers. Everything I do now is logged, tracked, and transparent. Not for paranoia. For peace. If someone comes into my life now, romantically, socially, professionally, they know the rules. I don't tolerate ambiguity. I don't tolerate deception wrapped in softness. I want clarity. And if that makes me cold, or obsessed, or too much, so be it. Better too much than not enough to see betrayal coming next time. As for Megan, I heard she moved again. Some mutual acquaintance said she started a blog, Healing After Scandal, or some crap. The kind of personal rebranding where you crop your ex out of every picture and pretend you found yourself in the ashes of the thing you lit on fire. I didn't read it, but I did buy the domain name associated with her old email, just in case. Redirected it to a static page that says, simply, "This page has been deleted due to authenticity violations." Because if there's one thing she taught me, it's that not every story deserves to be told. Some of them deserve to be erased. And in the end, that's what I did. I deleted her. From my inbox. From my system. From the narrative. And just like that, the story ended. No bang. No tears. No final twist. Just a man, his keyboard, and the satisfaction of knowing that sometimes revenge isn't rage. It's precision. Subscribe to the channel